Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun.
Well, viewers, the series where we drive cars that are not worth an awful lot of money as usual, and we don't spend a lot of money on equipment filming them. Welcome to No Budget Reviews. We're just down the road from the fuel power gathering here at Jilk's garage in Kyneton, and we've parked somewhere a little bit further up the road for the simple reason that it's a bit crowded in there today, so we've just come a little bit further down so we have a bit of peace and quiet whilst we film around the car. This is a 2008 Daihatsu Sirion, which was sold under a lot of different other brands and names all around the world, such as the Subaru Justy, the Perodua Myvi, I think it was called, or Myvi, the Daihatsu Boon, and the Toyota Passo. This is a facelifted car. Facelift occurred in about 2007, and they were only sold between 2005 and 2010 over here, although Peroduas continued for much longer. The Justy was only sold, I think, between 2007 and 2009, so not a very long-lived car on our market, and that was the last generation of Justy to be sold over here. This is the 1 litre model. It was part of the Fuel Power 1000 challenge. Buy a car with an engine under 1000 cc's for under £1,000 and drive 1,000 miles in it, I think over the course of about 72 hours, which apparently did quite well in that. There was a bit of an oil leak at some point, and this car does have some issues with it, but you know, it's not bad for that sort of money, is it? So we'll have a look at the boot. It's got some stuff in it. It belongs actually to Mr. Pink, who is someone who loves minis actually, but also other weird cars like Yugo Sanas and that sort of stuff as well. 225 litres of boot space. I think these did have 2 of these on the parcel shelf, but a lot of these are now broken. I've seen quite a few of these broken parcels actually. You can recline the angle of the backrest if you want. As you can see, there's a little position for it. I won't actually do that in this car because it's full of someone else's stuff. But you can see actually it's somewhere between a typical Super Mini and this, like a Mark 6 Fiesta, and something like a Peugeot 107 or Toyota Aygo or Citroen C1, which are all the same. Rather like this, you know, one design, 3 cars. The Sirion was the only one available with all 3 engine options in this country. The 1 litre in this car, 3-cylinder. There was a 1.3 as well, 4-cylinder, and a 1.5 4-cylinder. So have a look inside. I've moved the seat actually back a little bit so it's easier for me to get in and out. Just pull it there so we don't get people running into the door. So high specification models than this 1 litre SE, had a separate rev counter which actually mounted a bit like they do on a 107 or a C1 or an Aygo. But this actually feels, to my mind, a little bit better than one of those. We've just got a little bit more luxury. The interior quality is not actually that great in these. It doesn't really feel that good, but it's okay. We've got an aftermarket stereo in here with Apple CarPlay, which is good. The typical owner of one of these might have been very fond of Werther's originals. They tended to be owned by very careful, low-mileage drivers on the south coast. Actually, you see loads of these. And actually, this isn't as rusty as some of the ones are. They do rust like a lot of the Japanese cars of this era, but this one's pretty good actually. Quite simple, idiot-proof heating and ventilation controls. So the original stereo would have been a little bit simpler than that one. weird glove box. I don't think my secret mission documents are going in there, are they, viewers? That's strange. We'll go down on that shelf there, though. And they've got some door pockets. They're quite slim, but they're there. And then we've got the cup holders, which, in that instance, has got a little plant growing in there, which is nice. We've got the woolly hats, of course, as well, which you need today. It's a little bit chilly. 5-speed manual in this one. There was an automatic available as well. I think a 4-speed auto, and more cup holders. Normal handbrake, which is good, and another cup holder for all your pen needs. Seat is a little bit firm, but it's okay. The dashboard vents are sort of standard. Yeah, this is not the nicest quality interior, but these weren't expensive cars. They was priced more akin to a city car, and the interior space, apart from the boot, which is a little bit small, is more akin to a Super Mini, which is really good. In fact, why don't we get in the back and we can see what space is like in there too. So there we go. Weird car Twitter. It is a bit of a weird car these days, this one. Actually stepping into it, it's very upright, but there's loads of room in here. Like it's a real surprise just how much room there is. I'm really impressed actually how much room is in this car. Even in that's my driving position there, someone would be able to fit in there. We've only got one mat pocket though, but that's not really a problem, is it? We haven't got a rear armrest, but we have got a 3-point seatbelt that just lives up there when you don't need it for the middle passenger. The seats actually move forward and back as well. And again, I'm not going to fiddle with this car because we've got a load of stuff in the boot, so we won't do that. I can even see that some of these probably are keyless entry because you can actually see a little blank there, which would have been for the start-stop button, which is interesting. Yeah, loads of headroom, like way more headroom than I need. That's quite surprising, actually. Let's have a look and see if there's any surprises under the bonnet. I don't think there will be, but you never know. So this has the same 1 litre 3-cylinder engine as the Toyota Aygo, Citroen C1 and Peugeot 107 and the 108 actually, and even the current Toyota Aygo Cross uses a slightly different version of this engine. In this case, this engine develops 68 horsepower, so it's not the most powerful thing ever, but they are generally very reliable. This engine is leaking a bit of oil. This is quite an old car now, of course. It's 13 years old, so it's 15 years old, I should say. And they do sometimes blow head gasket, but that's quite rare. They're chain driven, so you know, you just got to make sure that you change the oil regularly, using a good quality of it, and the engines do go on for, you know, many thousands of miles if you do that. It's not too bad to work on. I think you can see the gearbox down there and all sorts of things. It's better than some modern cars are, but there's not, you know, huge amounts of space. If this is 1.3 or 1.5, it would be considerably more cramped than this one is. Also, the headlamps are going a little bit cloudy, but then this car costs less than £1,000. We are firmly within no budget reviews territory, so, you know, what do you expect with that? Okay, let's go out on the road and try not to look at any of the slightly beaten up panels. Yeah, it's all fun of no budget reviews, isn't it? £1,000, 1,000 cc's and 1,000 miles. Wonderful. Right, viewers, the driving experience of this M300 generation Daihatsu Sirion. This car is not very fast. 0 to 60 takes 13.5 seconds. But it's actually not too bad. I mean, if you've ever driven a 107 or a C1 or some Toyota Yaris's or a Toyota IQ or an Aygo, it sort of sounds just the same because it is exactly the same engine. One thing I'm a bit surprised about, maybe because this car's done 104,000 miles, is the gearbox is a bit floppy and ponderous. I was expecting something a little bit tighter on a car like this, but you can't have everything, can you? Yeah, it's actually fast enough. It feels for some reason more urgent than in a 107, but I drove it quite recently on no budget reviews, in fact about a month ago. And yeah, the ride's actually okay. The tyres on this one are a little bit wider. This is the SE model, which is the mid-spec.
the specifications were S, S Plus, SE, and then the SX. The SX was the only one, and the SX Plus, of course, available with a 1.5 engine. That had 102 horsepower, and the 1.3 is 86 horsepower. Strangely, as I've said, the Justy was only available with this engine, and the Perodua Myvi or Myvi, don't know how to say it actually, was only available with 1.3. You could get an auto on the 1.3 and also on the 1.5. This 1 litre only came as a 5-speed manual. Of course, lots of body roll, but actually the car seems to hold on quite well. Go over these railway tracks. It's actually quite soft and compliant, really. It's not particularly a sporty car, but then you don't really expect this to be when you look at it. It's pretty good, to be honest. It seems to just kind of settle down quite nicely. It's not actually that noisy at 50 miles an hour at all. The main issue is just a bit of this body roll, but I suppose you get used to that, don't you? If you want a car that, you know, is this sort of size and, you know, drives a bit tighter than this, and you buy yourself an R50 Mini or something like that. But that doesn't nearly have as much space as this, and the character of that is very different. So viewers, from this fuel power gathering at Jilk's Garage in Kyneton, should you consider a Daihatsu Sirion M300 as a suitable little car for your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? Well, if you could find one that's not really rusty and you can cope with this clutch that seems to bite a little bit high and handling which just sort of does induce a lot of body lean, then I don't see why not. Obviously, the Peroduas were imported for a bit longer than the Daihatsus. You might be able to find a Subaru one as well. It depends what you want, really. Very spacious car, not the best interior quality, but quite fun to drive, actually, as well. That's something I wasn't expecting so much. Anyway, thank you so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video in the comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.